Welcome to WROL Broadcast. I am 8-Man with you today. We have Joker.
Hello.
And the world famous Doom.
Yeah, me and Joker on a podcast. You already know what's gonna pop off.
Well, let me ask you a question, because
Sure.
you are Doombawkz that we've all known, but your name has changed to... I can't even pronounce it.
Cumulostratus Gaming, yes.
So what are you going by? Are you going by Cumulostratus Gaming?
No, it's still Doombawkz. So the long and short of that is I actually have a brother who I shared the tag with. And as a fun fact, a little secret for those who aren't in the know, my brother happens to be mute medically. He actually just got surgery to, get that fixed. So now he can actually talk. He's working on it. But he is actually the one that wrote the updated insights and discussions. I wrote all the original stuff, but he's the one responsible for the new stuff.
So you're saying we got the short end of the stick with the Doom that couldn't talk?
That's no.
The Doom that could talk.
His
Excuse me.
content is definitely better than mine. Unfortunately, he's actually a better writer than me, as you might imagine. So, but yeah, I'd say you guys got the worst version here now. But it's hard to pop off when you can't speak. So.
The reason we're doing this episode, we're going to pump this out quick, so there will be a very big lack of video in this episode. So, because we want to get it out quick, since, well, actually, we're still waiting on the post to drop. So it is rollover just happened a few minutes ago. Patch just dropped a short bit ago, and there's a lot to talk about. There's craziness. Do you guys want to just start in Raven, since she is the weirdest, craziest one of the bunch?
I mean, I was hoping we would save the best for last, but sure, I can spend an hour on this. That's fine if this is what we're going to do for the bulk of it.
Well, let's talk Etrigan real quick then, because let's save her for last. Maybe Luda make it in. He said he was
Etrigan,
coming.
Right. So Etrigan, in my opinion, when we saw him, he was already a character that we really didn't have to do much for, because right off the bat, he already just looked like an improved version of himself. And you guys know, I've always a lifelong Etrigan is trash tier, you guys just don't know it yet person. And to my credit, I was right. But I don't think I can be in that camp anymore, unfortunately. He is just too good now, which is a shame to say, but I have to surrender. He's just too good. I can't put him in trash tier anymore. He's at least B tier.
I've only got to use him in one match, because as of this time of recording, PvP is not working. So I was able to get in, play 2 matches. I didn't use Etrigan, so I went into Red Alerts and used him. And he does feel like the day he came out, when he did a lot of damage after he buffed, before super power crip.
Right.
So yeah, he does crazy damage again. Crazy damage. And it looks like he'll have True Sight like all the time. Pretty much persistently.
And something to keep in mind, too, just to put out there. This is an Etrigan that exists in the same world where we have turn 0 Enchantress damage immunity plus overheal. The same world where we just have Alan Scott throwing out shields constantly. Like, Etrigan exists in a meta now where he can actually keep that overheal. And that was the biggest way to counter him back in the day, was just, oh, well, if he's not overhealed, he's not doing anything. But now it's almost impossible to keep that off of him if you build him in a defensive comp. And I feel like folks might have to look at it from a perspective of where, hey, I might not need to run him in an all-out offense. It might be better to run him on that defensive comp, buy him that time, and just let him be the single offensive focus.
He does, and he was that good when I used him in alerts, and I just realized I never applied any of his legendaries, so... So yeah, he's gonna be crazy.
I mean, there you have it. But what do you think, Joker?
Well, I always thought he was pretty cool off the bat before the rework. He definitely suffered that power creep, as Hate Mail stated, and went along with you and everybody else on that one. When they showed us the rework kit on that, I didn't think he needed anything. I thought they did a great job with what they were proposing.
Oh, and to back up a little bit, just for those of you that aren't aware, everybody on this episode that we're having, which we're going to try to make this a monthly episode, is part of the feedback group. We do get to see the kits ahead of time. We make suggestions. Sometimes they take them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes our suggestions are in unison and we're able to get some positive changes made. Sometimes they take a little bit of everybody's suggestions, which doesn't always turn out great. And sometimes they take our suggestions and do something completely crazy with them, which we'll get into later. But
and sometimes they just juggle everything all over the place.
Yeah, so we do the best we can based on what we see, and obviously when you see something on paper, it doesn't always translate into real life. Abensur and John Stewart Green Lantern are prime examples. They look like they were going to be utter trash, and they turned out okay. So sometimes they know a little better than we do, because obviously they get hands-on. We don't actually get to play them. So just wanted to give you guys that quick disclaimer as well. But Etrigan, he looked good on paper out of the gate. Really didn't need much. Looks like our predictions on him were actually accurate. He looks like he's going to be super solid character. So the tiny bit I got to play him seems like he's going to be great. So I think everybody's going to be happy with him.
So just to put it out there for the sake of the fun of it, why don't we talk about maybe one of our more out there suggestions that we might have made for some of these characters? Because for me, when it came to Etrigan, I tried to funnel in some Justice League Dark synergy. I was thinking of some ways to really amp that in there. I don't remember if you guys had anything crazy on Etrigan, but I think it was I had tried to suggest for his 5th passive, whenever he gets assist called by a Justice League Dark member, both him and that person gain death immunity. But then it was brought up to me like, yeah, that's like 2 characters. But I mean, still, it's a cool idea, right? I mean,
yeah, I would have welcomed that. My feedback on him was he looks fine. No changes needed. So
same exact feedback here.
I guess it's just me then.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it is characters that really need it, I want to capitalize on that versus trying to get somebody who doesn't look like they need anything changes. So that's always been my philosophy on those. If they look fine, which usually not too often do they look fine out of the gate. This was one of those rare occasions. So
yeah, I mean, for me personally, the way I see it, if they look fine, then those are the types of characters that I feel a lot less risky on suggesting something that's just a little bit out there. Like, for the most part, my kit feedback for Etrigan was like, make his passive have stun immunity, I think was something that we all agreed on. And then I was like, and then also change this thing on his 5. Because I figure if they give it to us, cool, great. And if they don't, then, it's not like he's going to suffer for it.
He looks so good. Spectre always has me scared that don't give him too much more because we don't want it. We don't want another one. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, no, you are scared about giving Spectre too much more type stuff. Because every serving, you were the one who gave him too much more in the first place. I mean, is this one of those once bitten, twice shy things, or the cards on the table here?
Everybody learns their lesson.
I don't regret supporting that kit there. So.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, Etrigan, cut and dry, very good character. Honestly, I think he is going to be the highlight of the month easily. Like, I don't see any way that anyone else is going to outdo him unless one of the characters is just banana-ramas, like absolutely crazy.
Why don't we talk we'll save? You want to save Raven for last, so why don't we talk about Granny, because she looked the worst on paper. Looks like a fair amount of the suggestions that were made, a couple of them anyway, got taken. How do you guys think she looks now?
She looks like a hodgepodge of everybody's ideas. So,
I mean, to be fair, a good amount of those ideas are mine, so I'm biased here. Like Iron Boot and all that stuff getting changed, that's 100% my suggestions. Thank you very much. As much as y'all criticize me on balancing it based on the move names, I mean, it worked out. I'm just saying. But, yeah, I don't know. So the thing about her, right? Looking at her kit, a lot of the ideas that I had were contingent on the idea of her getting a retaliation, which she didn't have originally. And so that was part of the feedback that I was like, if I can get this in there, perfect. Everything else works. It's all fine. It's good. We didn't get the retaliation. I feel like she might be the second worst. I don't feel like she's going to be terrible, though. But I also really overvalue disruption. And she does have a fair bit of it. So I think that her basic is going to change a lot of things for certain characters, i.e., characters that a lot of people probably have already given up on, and for a good reason. But I feel like it's going to be a big deal, right? Because thinking about it, and this is the way I balanced it, are we allowed to talk about certain specifics in the kit or no? What do you think?
I mean, we can talk about what's there now. I don't think we should talk about things that were there before.
I gotcha. So her basic ability has that chance to silence, a decent chance, mind you, to silence that ignores immunities. And then its legendary is that if they're already silenced, they get stunned, right? Put her under a dark side, all of a sudden she's swinging twice, giving herself the own silence effect to trigger her stun. It has some legs there.
Well, and I also think she's going to be great with Yara.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah, I think her and Yara are just going to work exceptionally well together. The only thing that concerns me is they're both blue, so that's a little blue heavy on the things. But honestly, it's not like there's a lot of threatening reds out there right now, so that's not a bad way to be. But is she really going to contend for that spot against Spectre Etrigan right now? I don't think so. I don't think she's that good.
No, she's a character that, I'm with you on that, but I'm not as worried about that part because, they're always going to be good. But if you want to change it up, she'll be able to hold her own. If she's that good, then we're fine.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to is just her damage. Because the tools are there, but if she's out there swinging and hitting like Beast Boy where she's barely doing anything, she's just not going to earn that spot. But that's all on my side. What do you think, Joker?
I could pretty much agree to that. Didn't get what I wanted in it, but it's not a big loss to me on this one. The silence in there, bypassing immunity, that's been your shtick. So it's cool that you got it. Could see it functioning pretty nicely against some characters. So I think she'll be pretty fun to use.
She does a lot of stuff. I mean, she does the enrage, she does the bleeds, she does the strength downs. So I mean, she's a pretty heavy debuffer. But I think her whole kit will probably
not quite digging that extra damage if the other tune is at 100% health though. Just kind of feels like, once you hit him, that's obviously going to fizzle on out.
I don't know. I think it will depend how strong it is. If it does it's supposed to be heavy damage, and the numbers on here are larger than most things you see. So if it does double damage, if it can one shot greens with that ability, being at 100% health, everybody's overhealed half the time it seems like anymore. So
yeah.
Well, that's the other thing I'm worried about actually. Does she consider people who are overhealed at 100%, or will it fizzle on that too? Do they have to be exactly at 100, or can they be more? So that's going to need some testing.
Yeah, that's going to be a big question. But I think if that move does high damage, it's great. Why they put a taunt on here, I don't.
That's just kind of their thing now, is that everyone gets a taunt, and I don't know why. At least, though, unlike Mongol, Granny can actually tank it up and, take some hits, because she's got some beefy health pools.
Yeah, if she's like, John Stewart Green Lantern, I love when he has his taunt, because he is one hard guy to kill. He's crazy tanky. So if she's tanky, then it's fine. But it's weird that they're just throwing taunts on all these characters. But yeah, she seems like she's going to be better than her initial kit was rough. So I'm happy she looks like she's going to be more usable now. Joker, why don't you take us off with Dassad and your initial thoughts on him, since I know you're pretty excited for him.
I thought he was pretty cool looking. I liked that out of the two of them, he actually had synergy with Darkseid with that purging on the buffs there. Yeah, that's pretty much my initial thoughts were on him. I wish that he had a little bit more going on with, I guess, something like bleeds or debuffs. And that's kind of where I suggested that he would go on in.
I'm of the mind that he's the one I'm most excited for about this month, and I have been since the start. His ability to purge all buffs from the enemy team, and granted, he has to have Darkseid with him to do it, but to purge all buffs from the enemy team and then apply buff immunity, that is such a saucy move. I mean, just crazy good. And then,
so my big question on that, right? Does he apply the buff immunity and then the stun? So is he going to be purging all the buffs and applying the buff immunity and stunning them?
I don't think so, because typically the legendary happens after the original move.
Okay.
But this coded to happen before.
Well, the buff immunity will happen. I don't know about the stun. That we're gonna have to test and see. But even if it doesn't, he's still gonna be amazing for that ability. And if they don't have debuff immunity to start, if Terra's not there, or Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, I mean, just it's an automatic stun for the entire team every time, and you're gonna take all of their buffs. So it just seems like that move alone, if nothing else, everything else could stink, and that move alone will carry him, I think.
That's part of the reason why I think he's the dark horse, because keep in mind, that's also only on a 2-turn cooldown. You run him in World Engine, you're hitting that every single turn.
And he does have other, the percent chances on his other abilities are low, which are kind of annoying, but he has good abilities. I mean, he's stealing shields from the enemy team. He's stealing buffs from everyone. He's got intelligence downs. He's got just all kinds of stuff that he does, which seems pretty good. So he's got a chance to stun the enemy team at the beginning of his turn. I mean, he's got a lot going on. So even if
that call assist was at least 100% on the basic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low call. He's gonna be super annoying on defense, because that's all gonna be 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. You're gonna walk into that fight, and he's just gonna be like, "Oh, glad that you could be here to watch." And you're like, "You watch? Don't you mean fight?" And he's like, "No."
Exactly. So I don't know. He's the one I'm most excited about. Of course, he's green, so I'm going to be, he couldn't have been a blue character with this kit. So
yeah, that's the reason why I feel like he might not have that much viability. It's just because he's equal parts squishy, green, and not faster than the Spectre or Etrigan. So he might struggle a bit. But yeah, 100%. I feel like if he gets that turn, you're working in gangbusters, especially because he doesn't even need Darkseid to be the leader. He just needs him to be a teammate. So you can pair him with meter acceleration like Martian or Cheetah, and you're off to the races.
And then, his stealing 4 buffs from the enemy team for random allies, that's a cool ability. And then you're also going to steal shield. Yeah. I mean, that's...
I do wonder if he's going to steal 4 buffs from everyone or just 4 in total. And in terms of the allies, if he distributes it evenly.
I think it's
going
to be total.
The only harsh thing with that one is it seems like it's kind of a little bit built with Alan Scott in mind, and I'm curious how he's going to handle up to the retaliation on that.
I don't think it does damage, though.
Well, Earth 2 doesn't do damage, but we all know how that went.
Yeah, well, technically, according to the sheet I'm looking at, it doesn't do damage. So supposedly, and his 3 doesn't do damage. He's only got 1 damaging move, which is kind of unusual. Could be beneficial. Yeah, that could be a good thing. It's unusual, but it could be a good thing. So.
Oof, I'm ready. Let's talk about Raven.
All right. Ugh. It's time to talk Raven.
So, first things first. My God, I thought Kage suggested Amazon Synergy on Hippolyta was bad. But Ooh, Joker, explain yourself.
First off, I wanted that death immunity on 5. And with the Alan Scotts, the Bardas, and all these characters out there that are providing a little shielding and a little health, I was thinking Raven would have been pretty nasty, along with the retaliation intact. Having everybody getting hit, She's surviving the hit because my biggest problems whenever I run her is that she was just so squishy to reds. And I wanted the death immunity to keep her in the frickin' battle to get the retaliation going. But didn't work out that way.
I see. That all sounds like it's great concepts, Joker. I would totally agree. Maybe not so with the fact that you have less than the cyborg charge shot hitting raw to actually have it trigger on anyone, but whatever, that's fine. People love 25% chance to do anything. That's people's favorite. They love to look at percentages that low and think, yes, clearly a person recommended these. Obviously, this person has my best interest in mind. I'm sure they're not the person that also kneecapped Jake's Fox. Not at all. They're totally different people. Obviously, there must be a trend.
That was a little higher than the kneecaps.
Like, let's break this down for a second. Even if it's on the wrong ability, that shouldn't have even been an ability. That ability is terrible. The death immunity, I agree with. Putting death immunity on other people makes total sense with the retaliation. I agree. 25% chance, you lost me. 100%. That is, like, you couldn't even make it 50. You couldn't even give us a coin flip. Really?
We just got past Dassad with all his 20s and 25s, and you didn't complain about it.
You're right, because Dassad is a new character and has other tools. Raven is an old character that people were relying on us for. And then what did you do? You're like, yes, 25% chance. That'll get them. Everyone survived.
That's going per ally. So, every time an ally's getting whacked, whether it's Barda there taunting and just bring it, that's stacking up on a possibility of her getting it.
Yes, that's so much better to have it per person getting hit. It'd be nice if they could, survive the hit, have a decent chance of getting death immunity. That would be cool.
Well,
hold on. Just to ask, did she applying the death immunity to other people, or is she just getting it for herself?
It was self-intended.
Okay, so not only is this not an ability that she's having her allies benefit from, but it's an ability that has such a low chance that no one else is getting the benefit from. So basically, you're saying, Raven can totally 1v4 an entire enemy team.
That's incorrect because it says
death immunity.
It says if an ally is attacked, 25%. Okay, I guess it is her. It sounded like
it was.
Now she starts combat with death immunity for 2 turns.
Wow.
She was supposed to be 2 turns, but she's actually getting it for 3 turns. So,
wow, phenomenal, great, 3 turns, fantastic. It's not like we have purgers in the meta. None of those are around. It's not like we have people that kill people and then happen to throw out a purge after killing people. Yeah, no, that never happens. And it could have been useful provided that she's maybe passing that benefit to other people. The Alan Scotts and the Bardas of the world, like you were mentioning, those guys would definitely love to have a 1-turn death immunity if they got hit and survived, even if it's on a 25% chance. But just for herself, at that low of a percentage, this is like old school Superman, where he has all my friends are dead syndrome. The only difference is that we on purpose did that to a character that people love and wanted to be good. Like, you could have completely cut out the death immunity percentage part, and it would have even been a better ability, just giving her death immunity. Because at least then I wouldn't have something to be so angry about. I could look at that and be like, yeah, that makes sense.
She is surprisingly tanky, though, regardless of the death immunity. I had her, the one time I was able to play PvP, she actually took a massive hit from a buffed up red and didn't need the death immunity, which was surprising. That's great. She seems like she's not as terrible in some aspects as I was expecting. The worst part ability for her is she purges the debuffs and then takes them and then stuns herself, which is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, that's a shame. That really is a shame. But you know what? On the upside, she has a 25% chance to maybe not die. Provided that she's the only person you need to not die on the team. So she'll be sitting there stunned, but at least she won't be dead, unlike everyone else on her team.
And also her chance to do special damage to enemies that damage her, she just attacks herself. She doesn't attack the enemy team at all. And granted,
Well,
that's a
yeah,
bug,
that was specifically in my kit as well.
yeah, just to attack
Yeah.
herself.
I mean, of course. Yeah, how else is she supposed to trigger her death immunity? She needs all the coin flips she can get to get that Gorker. She's like, "Don't worry, guys. Don't worry.
I
I
got
got
this."
this." Punches herself in the face. She's like, "Dang it, no death immunity. All right, let's do this again." Pa! There it is. One turn. See, guys, guys. And then that's the story of Raven. That's how it goes down. I mean, we could have had nice things. We could have had nice things that people wanted, like Titan synergy, or affinity power down passive like she used to have, or I don't know, maybe something that doesn't have a 25% proc chance, like, you know, a retaliation that works whenever someone hits an ally. That would have been super cool. Too bad we couldn't get that. And I know, in your defense, what little defense there is for it, it's not supposed to be on the 4th move. It's supposed to be on the 5th move. Not that that makes the move any less trash, but it's supposed to be on a different one. And I get that.
You know, you've gotten your suggestions in, and design. You've put it and phrased it like such. Design has gone through both suggestions, a bit of feedback, and they went with the one they felt was the best one to go with. Unfortunately, they completely fumbled on this one, but yeah.
You're right. But design also made the original Batman Caped Crusader on their own. We all know how well that went. They made Garth. That was fun. Yeah, we all know Garth is a meta threat now because of his passives that work the exact opposite way as what they're written. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have so much faith in the WB design team and their decision-making process. This only furthers my faith in that. Yeah, no worries.
What really sucks, though, is that Spectre's obviously on every single team, so he stuns. Raven takes her turn, takes his stun, stuns herself, and then can't use her own heal. So it's just, I mean, she's actually, if she didn't do all that, she's not as nearly as bad as I expected. Like, I was really expecting her to be complete trash. If she actually did damage to the other team instead of herself, and then, you know, her 3's pretty good, purges all those buffs, does good damage, she can take a hit. Like, she's not the worst character ever, if she just worked properly and didn't, you know, stun herself every time.
Have that passive? Oh, wait, yeah, okay. I know what you're saying. So here's the thing about it, right? Although I am being hypercritical, for the most part, this is actually a little bit of a bit, because, you know, I've turned the corner a little bit in terms of the Raven passive. I don't think it's the worst thing, although I do think it really should be on everyone and not just her. Like, I can see the logic behind it. And if you just pack her with debuff immunity or stun immunity, she's fine. Like, she actually makes sense on a Mongol team, ironically enough.
Yeah, she'd be good on a Mongol team, actually.
But, you know, so I'm, as much as a hard time as I'm giving Joker about this passive, which, in fairness, I do think is a very subpar passive. Honestly, it's not like it's going to destroy the character. Now, her other bugs, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. But all things considered, she's really not bad. I don't think that people are going to really be disappointed in her. And I feel like people who have been waiting for this, they're probably actually going to be pretty happy about how she turns out.
Yeah, I mean, compared to her old kit, she's worlds better, even bugs and all. Her old kit was just garbage.
But, yeah, so honestly, I'm a little sad that my suggestions didn't get picked. But Joker's suggestions weren't the worst things in the world. It's not as bad as what he did with some other characters. So we're just going to keep an eye on him in the future. So do you guys want to talk about stat boosts?
Yeah, let's talk some stat boosts, because
I would love to, but unfortunately I haven't been able to play PvP all frickin' night.
That's fine. I got through 2 matches and I only got to test 2 of them. But from what I can see,
talk about who got boosted.
Yeah, and from what I can see on Power Girl, it looks like she actually got a stat decrease, which I think is incorrect. Because if you look,
that's really funny.
If you look at her stats in game and her stats sent to us, they're not improved. So something's very wrong. I don't know. I didn't get to use her, so I can't tell if she's actually just the numbers say wrong or she's improved or not. I really don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how much stats. Actually, she's one of those characters. I think she was one of the only characters most of us agreed were a good choice. Like, I think a lot of us, full disclosure, they did, ask what we would think of characters that would possibly work for this. And there were characters that, obviously there's a lot of characters that you want to suggest that are really old that hadn't been picked in a long time or haven't had a rework in forever. But also some of them stats aren't going to do anything for. They're just going to be garbage still. So it's hard to figure out. And there was almost zero time to give suggestions on this. So it was a very rushed process on our part. But Power Girl felt like one that might be decent if she had better stats.
Yeah, Power Girl is one. I mean, I didn't personally put her on my list because I only gave them a 3-person list because I was already busy at the time and we just had no time. But I would definitely agree Power Girl is a good one to do. Just because as a tanky character and as a retaliator, stats mean more to her. So giving her more stats, her kit is actually pretty decent. It just doesn't have the output it used to.
Another one on the list, and you all can guess who might have been interested in this one, is Joker, Clown Prince of Crime. He's another one that just, I think most of us thought he was probably a good pick because he's got a good kit. He just is so squishy and does kind of okay damage, but not great damage. So I didn't get to test him. Post rework, was he on your list at all, Doom?
Well, my list consisted of Giganta, TDK, and Doomsday because I'm a shill for my own characters, but also they needed it. But honestly, if you guys came up to me and you said, hey, Joker Clown Prince of Crime needs a stat buff, I'd probably be like, yeah, you're right. Because honestly, he does. He has a very cohesive kit. Like, in terms of kit design, despite how old it is, it's a very well put together kit. So I don't think he has any core issues so much as he just doesn't do any damage. He's the kind of character that you can just not look at, and then he just eventually dies, and then he eventually stops doing things. Versus characters where it's like, oh, there's a punchline. I literally can't ignore her or else I'll be dead. So, yeah, Joker's a good one, honestly. I would agree with that.
Also, keep in mind that many of us gave like 5, 6, 7, 10 characters. I think I did 8. Joker did like 27, and everybody kind of did a couple or did a bunch. It was kind of all over the place. So one I think that several people had that were interested in was Swamp Thing, which we don't know if WB was just looking at our list and saying, oh, that's one we were thinking about doing, or we don't know what the behind the scenes thought process is. We were just told to give some feedback, so we gave some suggestions. But Swamp Thing's another one. He's got a decent kit. He just lacks stats. I did get to use him. He did seem a lot tankier in the one match I got to use him in, and he did a lot more damage. So I think that probably wasn't a bad pick. He's a good character that a lot of people have because he's been around forever. So I think most people have shards, but he's been pretty unusable due to the fact that he's just so squishy. So he felt like a good one for them to pick.
So something I personally disagree with.
We're losing you, Doom. You're cutting out horribly.
Sorry.
I think Swamp Thing got a speed boost too, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was intended, but in the game, he got a huge speed boost. Doom, you might want to try leaving and coming back. Sometimes that fixes it. He didn't come back, though. Well, anyway, go ahead, Joker.
No, I think a speed boost. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't gone and looked at it yet, but it's definitely something he needed. Okay.
So.
Oh.
He's definitely a lot faster than he was.
No, he definitely needed that. He was very sluggish, even though he'd get that passive attack, assist. He was still really slow.
Yeah.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me a little bit of an echo here. Swamp Thing's one of the ones that I personally disagreed with a little bit, just because I think he actually does need a rework. But I am glad that his stats are pulling a lot more weight now. Like the 3% overheal thing, I think that could probably stand to just be overheal instead of a percentage, because 3% is so low.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, I'm happy for folks. I just think that he could have done with a proper rework versus because isn't his revive still just 75%?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that, but he isn't terrible. Like, there's some characters that a stat boost just isn't going to do anything for. I think he's kind of one of those ones. He's not. He could use one, but if he's not going to get one for a long time, he's a great one to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd agree with that, and it does help. I wish that we could have gotten the Justice League Dark Synergy, because he would have benefited a lot from it, I think.
Yeah, that could have been great.
So he can't call assists, so my plan wouldn't have worked. But yeah, and then that's all the stat boosts that matter. That's great.
Well,
happy to hear it.
Let's talk about the stat boosts that I've already seen some chatter. People know that most likely person to make the suggestion, which I will say I made the suggestion on Peacemaker, which I know he's a new character. However, when he first came out, well, let's back up a little bit. I was kind of surprised he was picked. He was one of like 8 characters I suggested. So I think WB agreed. I did make a little note on him about explaining why I think he should get one. And every month when we look at characters, we're thinking, how can we counter Spectre? Because Spectre's in every single match, and slow him down a little bit. Because lots of characters have been created. Peacemaker was created with the sole intention of countering Spectre. His kit, like everything you read on his kit, is anti-Spectre for the most part. He's got a few things otherwise, but for the most part, his kit's entirely anti-Spectre. He had 2 issues to not counter Spectre. One was his damage immunity. He should have been death immunity. But obviously that wasn't going to get fixed anytime ever until a rework 3 years from now. But the other thing he was lacking was he doesn't do enough damage. So I made the suggestion, hey, I know it's fresh, but let's, instead of trying to come up with more and more Spectre counters, let's use the guy who is designed to do it and actually allow him to do his job. The 2 matches I did test with him, he actually countered and killed Spectre, which is amazing to see, because his 1, even at RB5, does not do enough damage to threaten Spectre. So it seems like he doesn't like wipe him out, because that would take a massive amount of damage, but it actually does what it's supposed to be doing, what I expected when he came out. So I don't regret making that suggestion at all. I am surprised they took it, but I think they also don't want to have to build around Spectre every time they create new tunes either. So if this,
well, I'd for one like to say I'm extremely grateful you made that suggestion. It was in me to do so for the same reasons, but I honestly felt like he was too fresh, that they would just completely blow me off on it. So I didn't bother. But seriously, thank you, dude, for recommending that one.
I know a lot of people are going to disagree. Doom is one of those.
So here's the thing, right? I don't disagree on the principle of like, oh, hey, this character's too fresh. I have no problem with fresh characters being updated. That's fine. My issue is that let's bring this up for what it really is. You guys are trying to make up for the fact that you hype bot into a solution that's not exactly the solution you wanted. So, in order to justify your purchase and feed the capitalist system, you're asking to take stats away from a hungry, needy toon, and you're giving it to your corporate fat cat Peacemaker.
Well, Peacemaker at RB5 does a pretty good job of dealing with Spectre, but everyone else who has him L5 or below, he's worthless. So now, hopefully, he's actually does his job.
Yep, you know what? A lot of other characters could be the answer with that stat boost. I'm just saying, what about them? Are they less worth it because you don't have an investment in them? Hate mail?
Those characters were not designed to kill Spectre. This character was designed to counter Spectre.
Okay, so because he only does it, 80% of the time? That's a rough deal.
I mean, Damian Wayne, he does it like 30% of the time.
Damian Wayne is
maybe 20.
Maybe 20.
That kills blues, right? Damian Wayne can't do it. He could have used those stats.
Damian Wayne doesn't ignore awareness. He doesn't.
He's faster. He doesn't need to. He just pokes him in the face.
But there's going to be... Everybody has a taunt now. He ain't poking nobody.
Okay. So, let's see, what other options do we have here that could have also done it? Maybe Emerald Archer Green Arrow. I don't know. Some big crits across the board, that stat decrease, or are we just going to assume they also have a Terra?
That's just going to crit into his awareness, so.
He's faster. What awareness?
Well, Terra.
Also, we have characters that already do that. We have Ursa. She can do it with just going straight into him.
She doesn't go around taunt. She doesn't counterattack.
Why would she need to counterattack? And also, you could just give her True Sight.
Yeah, but she can't even do that without hitting the whole team.
You can pair her with Red Robin. That's fine.
I don't use her. Him.
Okay. So what you're saying is tools exist. You just refuse to use them.
You need two characters to make those characters work. He's a solution in one tune.
Okay.
Either way, Warner Brothers agreed with me, so I'm gonna take the W here. But
hey, I 100% agree with you on this one too.
Hey, no, it's fine. I understand. The note you sent them on why he should be the one to pick probably had a couple hundred bills attached to it. It was literally just a picture of a stick figure with a smiley face with an arrow pointing to it that says me, and then a paperclip in the corner with $600 attached. And they're like, I see his reasoning.
But on a bright note, for those of you that may be upset, the impression we get, and we don't know anything, and nobody, even if they told us 100%, things change every month. The impression we're getting is that this wasn't a one-time thing. So we are hopeful that this is going to be a more regular occurrence. How often they do it or when they do it again is up. Who knows? I'm hoping monthly. I don't know why they wouldn't do it monthly. It's something we've been asking for years. But I'm happy to see that they did it. And I think it's very likely that they do it again, possibly next month even, or maybe every couple months. And so if you have characters you think would be smart to do, that you think don't need a full rework, but would benefit greatly from a stat boost. Because remember, if they get a stat boost, their odds of getting rework probably are diminished. So I know I saw a lot of people saying, oh, Zatanna should have got it. I don't think it would help Zatanna. I don't know. Do you guys think Zatanna would be good with a stat boost alone?
No, she needs a bunch of stuff.
So when you're sending suggestions, and that's something we struggled with, but once again, we didn't really have time to digest it because it was such a short amount of time that we were allowed to give feedback on this. We're definitely going to try to come together and come up with our suggested characters and see if they align with what WB's thinking about. But if you have ideas you'd like to share with us, please leave your comments, because we're going to, next time this comes around, we're hoping to get 4 great tunes. Probably older tunes will be the priority in my mind. I think everybody in our group agrees with that.
Yeah, that's why we're all mad about Peacemaker.
There was a special reason for that. Otherwise, I completely agree with you guys. And we got 3 older characters out of the 4. We didn't know how many they were going to do either. We had no idea. We didn't know if it was going to be 10.
So do you want to hear something? Do you want to hear something funny? Okay, so this happens to be on topic, I promise, right? So when we were doing predictions for next month, I was like, I'm going to write this on a piece of paper and hand it to Joker, and then we're going to see if I'm right? One of those, like, let's see how predictive I am. No joke. For this conversation about Peacemaker, I wrote down specifically what I was going to say, and then what you were going to say, which I was accurate on like 90% of it, which was like, oh, he does it 80% of the time at RB5. At L5, he never does, and that's what's going to be helped by it. And mind you, I sent this like 2 days ago. And then I said that I would reply with a lot of other characters could get the stat boost. What about them? Is it less worth it because you don't have an investment? And then I said, then he'll probably say something about how Peacemaker was built for it.
That's
or
true.
That the community doesn't do enough, or he'll ask, quote, like who? ?
But because they're all valid points, so you predicted valid points.
Let me just come out and say this. The reason I don't lose matches is because I can see the future. I am in Metron's chair right now. I am seeing all realities. That actually blows my mind. that I got it as accurately as I did, because it wasn't just like, oh, 1 point. It was like this entire conversation I had written down with your exact responses verbatim, and I was correct. But
well, Doom,
yeah,
you're humble as always. So
You got to do me a favor and give me the number of your dealer because I want to be smoking the same shit you are.
hey man, I'm just saying, if I win the lottery, then Gigantic's gonna get a rework, because I'm gonna be like, I'll pay you double what Hate Mail is paying you. No, but in reality, I am glad that Peacemaker got the change and that this is looking like a more frequent thing. As much as I like to bust your balls about it, honestly, I think he is a good fit, and I do hope that he slows down the usage of Spectre. I feel like that's not going to be the case, just because how like unequivocally good Spectre is in all areas. But if this helps with that, then that's fine. I'm hopeful with the characters we have coming up that the meta is maybe slowly shifting into something more control focused, because the fact that Aquaman, Owl, and Punchline is a viable composition, that thing would not have survived in the past. So the fact that it's here now means that change is on the wind, and I'm hopeful for it.
Well, my whole thought, because I'd much rather have like Killer Frost or Catwoman get a big stat boost, because I love both those characters. I think they have great kits, and I think a stat boost would make them significantly better. But I wanted him because I'd like to not think about a kit and say, how could we make this a little bit better to slow down Spectre? So if it does that, great. I'm with you. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but he's one of the only characters that if you open with Spectre's 3 and you want to nuke everyone, if his counterattack actually scared you a little bit, it may have a slight effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, with them changing red alerts, which was a nice, interesting thing, if they make Peacemaker like actually farmable for the wider community, I feel like that's going to do a lot towards that mission. Because my biggest concern right now is that if you weren't one of the people who bought into the hype and then regretted it, you're probably not going to be getting much benefit out of it, because you probably don't have Peacemaker, because you waited and then saw all the owls complaining that, oh, he doesn't immediately kill everything in the first turn. Wah, I can't play my matches for more than 2 minutes. How dare you make me take this off of auto? So for the folks like that, I feel like I'm hurting a little bit for them, which is why I said there are other options.
Well,
Even though my
RB5 Peacemaker carried me in the semifinals for Tournament of Legends. So
that's great, Scrooge McDuck, but we're not talking about you. We're talking about the have-nots. Like I mentioned earlier, there are answers out there. It might sound like it sucks to have to run Red Robin plus Ursa, but Red Robin's an exceptionally good character. You don't have to have him just for Spectre. He helps against the whole team. Yeah, right?
The issue always was, it wasn't that people don't have a tool to deal with Spectre. It's how can we slow Spectre's usage down so we don't see him on 99% of matches.
Right. But I'm saying if you missed out on this time because Peacemaker got the boost and you don't have him because you were a reasonable person who didn't spend thousands of dollars on a character expecting him to be something he's not, then good news, there are other answers out there for you. So, just keep that in mind, holding out for the next stat boost, that if you need to answer Spectre, there are answers there. You just got to look for them.
Red alert changes. Let's talk about that real quick. They have some nice. This was a good red alerts change. I know there was a few people upset that they didn't get to farm. They didn't give much notice on this change, as I think it was like 1 day notice for everyone. It was a surprise to us all.
Yeah.
So that was really the only negative. They did tell us that they will give notice the next time they do a change. They didn't give us any idea when that would be. My impression is that it might be a little more frequent than once every 2 years like it used to be. So, if there's a character you're really into, it might be beneficial to farm them more than one time, spend a few gems. Because when you look at the gem cost, it's better than the 6 day. So if you have gems to spend, this is one of the best places to do it for shards of characters that you want. They have quite a few good ones in here. I know me personally, I'm really excited about farming Nubia, King Shark, Stargirl. Ultraman's not bad. Kilowog's a great one. Two-Face I want to farm. So there's quite a few characters I'm pretty interested in farming in this list.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm excited about personally isn't so much what I can farm, but it's also like a lot of these characters are really, really good for the new players who would be farming these characters to unlock them. Like Riddler, Medfill, you've got the likes of
Hawkgirl's really great in lower gear levels.
exactly Stargirl, like you said, exceptional character there. Miss Martian, basically like Hippolyta Light. These characters are exceptionally good to get if you're a newer player
Loba's
and you're
really
having
good.
some issues.
Miss Martian's really good, especially with Lex.
Yeah, like honestly, I feel like newer players are definitely taking the win on this one because sure for mid-range players it sucks not to be able to farm these guys like L4, L5, but for the person who's just trying to farm these characters to unlock them rank 2, rank 3, there's a lot of really good picks in here for them to get that are really going to elevate their ability to farm and raid and do other things in the game and grow their rosters. So for them, I'm very excited. I think that this is actually really great for them.
I can't believe we still don't have the post.
What's that?
I said I can't believe we still don't have the post.
Oh, yeah.
I'm starting to think it might be coming today.
But no, get back into that list. I'm really excited. Owlman is in there. He's freaking awesome, and I've been dying to get him the rebirth.
He's one I think could use a stat boost. He's not bad, but he needs a stat boost.
I just love using him in the raids, getting the constant crits with the bonus
he's good
tunes.
raids, but I think if he got a stat boost, he'd be good all around. His 3, make his 3 can't miss. I mean, I know.
Well,
I know it's just a stat boost.
But I lean more on the side.
Sorry.
I lean more on the side. I lean more on the side thinking he should get a rework. I think his kit can use a little bit more pizzazz.
I think.
I would agree with that. It feels really plain for who the character is.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Owls would like to see Owlman better. So.
His kit feels like a product of its time. That's what I would say. Like, he was around when the biggest thing in the market was what? Batgirl, Harley Quinn, Wonder Girl maybe, and his ability to one-shot Harley Quinn because of that extra bonus damage on the gate on his 3 was huge. Now that they're not really in the meta anymore.
Well, his problem is always his 3 miss.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if they didn't even need to do a full rework. I know they're just doing stats, but just add can't miss to his 3 and give him a stats boost, and he would suddenly be a significantly better character.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind if his self buff did a little bit more, where there was something like shields, something a little more defensively, because he's very squish.
Yeah. Honestly, though, for what he is, speaking on Wonder Girl, the fact that she's not really in the meta at the moment, honestly, a lot of folks should be trying out those teams that you really wouldn't be able to get away with before, like Steppenwolf with Owlman and just getting all that free meter. You can go infinite with those characters super easy, and you're just constantly critting and mowing people down.
Yeah.
I just throw Grodd in there, and I can do that anyways, whether she's there or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's, there's the time, I feel like, which is a weird thing to say given the meta, the fact that Spectre still exists. But I feel like the meta is, like, opening up in some ways. Maybe it's just because we keep throwing meta counters into the meta and being like, hey, counter Spectre. Okay, never mind.
That's the problem.
That's
the problem with Steppenwolf is that he's slower, and then Spectre does his AoE, and he's instantly dead because he doesn't have the health to keep up with the newer characters. But he's another one. Actually, you know what? Steppenwolf would be a really good stat boost character now that I'm thinking about it, because his biggest thing is he just doesn't. I mean, his kit's like there's nothing wrong with his kit. He just doesn't hold up. He doesn't do the damage or be able to take the hits.
Yeah.
Flip his lead into a passive.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that too, but even if they didn't do that, I think a stat boost, because he's likely not to get a rework anytime soon, especially after 2 rounds of kind of Superman, New Gods type peak characters, so I don't see that happening. So I think a stat boost would go a long ways with a character like him.
I think he's already gone through 2 reworks, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Hasn't he only been through 1, I thought?
No, he had 2. The second one was just basically the exact same thing as the first time.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like after 2 Justice League movies, if it's not happening now, it's just not happening.
Yeah, that's why a stat boost probably would be good for him, because he's never going to get one. So,
man, it's crazy.
There's a lot of characters that need stat boosts, but I really, really, really hope this is a monthly thing. And I mean, that would give you something else to look excited for. So, like, even if you don't care about the reworks or the new characters, there's bound to be at least one character out of the group, if assuming they do 4, that we would be excited about.
Yeah, flip a coin on whether I want to suggest Deadshot next time or Chemo.
I don't know if Deadshot would, like, anything would happen with, like, he's another one that I almost feel like needs a full rework because I'm not.
Wait, which Deadshot?
Hired gun.
Oh, yeah, no, he needs a full rework. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if Chemo really needs a stat boost though. He's pretty good. At least I've had issues with him.
I got him RB5. I love running him off and on, but
I think he could
use a little bit more. Yeah,
his health is his problem. I mean, I know 2D.
It is.
2D has him RB5 too, and he always complains that he's too squishy. And when 2D complains somebody's too squishy, you know they're squishy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe it's just that I'm running different team comps with him too. That might be the thing, because whenever I'm running Chemo, it's usually paired with like Lex and Stargirl or something, where he's just obnoxiously tanky all the time just because of those 2 characters. So I might have a skewed perspective on this one, and that might just be me. I enjoy having him though, and I really like the fact that he's basically a one-stop shop for Talon and Captain Atom to just be like, oh hey, yeah, they have disease now, kind of, and then throwing punches out there, you know?
Yeah, if you're using him as your taunter and you don't have strong protection around him, he just dies. That's his problem.
But that's true of a lot of characters. So
yeah, he's a taunt. Like he's a turn 0 taunter that is supposed to taunt regularly. Those characters should have a little more beef to survive.
No, unfortunately, that's where I could say maybe there's potential for a rework there, because he needs his allies to get whacked with a crit in order to taunt after his first one initially expires.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like, is the fact that he has to get crit for that. Because, like, I can get it for Bizarro, because Bizarro heals and all that stuff. But Chemo just, if he gets crit, he's probably going to die, which is why I'm like, I only need him to taunt for 2 turns. I don't care if he taunts after that.
See, I never had a problem getting crit, so it's not an issue.
But I don't know. Does he really need it more than some other turn 0 taunters that are, a little bit on the weaker side?
I mean, that's
the other ones. There's
so many.
Well, I mean, he's also another rarity. How many? I mean, you got Bizarro that kind of does the bleed thing, but Chemo is really the consistent one.
Well,
for bleeds in a bleed comp,
and he is farmable.
He's a bleed disease bridge.
He's farmable in the regular missions that have never changed. So, I mean, they did change a couple of the tunes not too long ago, so I'm saying that wrong. But he's easily farmable for new players. So,
yeah. I don't know. I just can't imagine him being a priority pick compared to some other characters. But that's also why I'm like, the characters that I choose are really crappy C tier tunes that I happen to be addicted to. And yeah, it's partially self-showing. I'm like, oh yeah, this will benefit me. But also, like, Giganta needs stats. Doomsday needs stats. Like, these aren't characters that are okay. Their kits are good, but they just can't do anything. And TDK, I don't think anyone's going to tell me I'm wrong that those 3 characters need a boost.
I think all of us mentioned Doomsday on our lists. I know I did. I know Zubaz did.
He's one, though, I'm not sure, because one stun, it seems everybody in the game stuns. He's shut down.
Yeah, he should have that too. Stun immunity. I mean, just about every single
single
positive buff you could throw on this guy, he should start with.
I just feel like he just needs a rework.
If Mongo didn't taunt himself into oblivion, like, I actually enjoy running Mongo Doomsday.
You know who can use a stat boost is Mongo.
No, Mongo needs to have the taunt.
I know. I just teasing you guys. Yeah.
Which makes me sad, because Mongo's so fun. He's terrible. Well, I take that back.
He's very good if he didn't have the taunt.
Yeah, like I was saying on some other thing, he is the most okay character I've ever had the mild displeasure and joy of utilizing. Like, if you put him on World Engine, it is the cheesiest, like, absolute dumbest thing ever. And it's phenomenal because of it.
Well, but I know that I've been running him off lead, and I actually kind of like him.
If his 3 weren't bugged, I would like him more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even the way it is, because at least it goes around Terra, it's not bad, but it is annoying that Spectre still purges it.
I mean, I like his animations.
His animations are cool. I appreciate that he has a different animation when he's applying buff immunity on his 2 than when he's not. That's actually a really nice touch.
Yeah,
even though it does look super janky. But anyways, so that's the stuff I got to pop off a little bit today, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Yep, I appreciate you guys coming on. I got to get rolling, so we need to go ahead and wrap this up because I'm starting to turn into a pumpkin.
Sounds good, man.
No, you're good. It's been a good time. I'm glad to share the podcast with you, Joker.
It's always fun, man.
Time.
And we'll do this monthly, so this will be our new new thing where we're going to try to get out the minute the post drops, or maybe even the day before the post drops. So
yeah, it depends on what permissions we get.
I mean, we didn't talk about anything that we weren't supposed to talk about, right? So is this safe to release tonight?
I mean, I would assume. If not, then they'll tell us.
All the info's out already. There's.
I mean,
no
it's in the
problem
game. You can look at it in the game. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. If she asked, I'll say Doom said it was okay.
Yeah. Great. Have the audio clip of me saying, "Yeah, I think it's fine." You'll just be like, proof.
Exactly.
Just edit out all the parts where I said, "Yeah, it's okay."
Exactly. Just like, oh, Doom said it's fine. Listen, press play. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's like, also, did you hear that he was secretly the one behind the JFK assassination? Boop. Yeah, I think it's fine.
I think we did mention a few abilities that you can't see in the game yet, but
yeah, I mean, the worst that we mentioned was Granny's legendary one. I think that was about it.
I think we mentioned one on Dassad possibly, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I brought up the purge all along with Darkseid.
Well, we're on the soup now.
I'll hold it till she makes the post. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, also make sure to edit out that part where I admitted to being behind the JFK assassination. I don't need people actually running that.
I haven't stopped recording yet, just so you know.
Oh dang. Okay.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you go.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming.
Hello, everyone. It's yours truly, the AB. Thanks for listening to the show, and won't you please consider becoming a Patreon? I am, and let me tell you, it's easy, super easy. Just head over to patreon.com/WROL Broadcast. Be the first one to get the inside scoop with exclusive content, early reviews. Listen, packages start as low as $1. That's less than a handful of gems. Even an old man like me can do it. And I'm at the age where I want 2 girls. Just in case I fall asleep, they'll have someone to talk to.